Welcome back to the Wonder Bread Pod. I am your host, Tyson Daly, and I will be joined by my wonderful co-host, Lucas Morris. Today, we will be discussing how religious ideas didn't just shape worship, they shaped politics, identity, violence, and global connections. We'll look at the Reformation, the 30 Years' War, and the ongoing war in Israel. And throughout, we will come back to the same two questions. How have people explained these events in their lives, as well as how have connections between people, ideas, and goods brought the world together, and how have conflicts and prejudice pushed it apart.
Starting with the Reformation, this was a major religious change in the early 1500s that reshaped Christianity, leading to the rise of many Protestants in Europe. Its most important leaders were Martin Luther and John Calvin. During the late Middle Ages, the Catholic Church had become very involved in politics and had gained a great deal of wealth. Because of this, many people felt the church was losing its spiritual purpose. Practices like selling indulgences, payments that were supposed to reduce punishment for sins, made people question the church's honesty. Still, most ordinary believers remained loyal, even though some frustration and criticism existed. Martin Luther, a German pastor and teacher, believed early reformers mainly pointed out the corruption, but he argued the real problem was the church's teaching about salvation. In 1517, he wrote his 95 Theses criticizing indulgences and saying that salvation came through faith alone, not through buying spiritual privileges or doing certain works. He claimed that the Bible was the only true source of religious authority. Although he did not plan to break away from the Catholic Church, the conflict grew and he was excommunicated in 1521, marking the start of a major split in Western Christianity. However, these reform ideas were not entirely new. People like St. Francis had a lot of the same opinions, but disagreed on communion. More radical groups like the Anabaptists rejected infant baptism and practiced adult baptism. Although persecuted, they survived as Mennonites. John Calvin became another major leader. His work stressed strict moral discipline and spiritual understanding of communion, shaping the Reformed tradition. The Reformation spread across Europe. Lutheranism took hold in northern regions, while Eastern Europe became home to many different Protestant groups. England broke from the Pope under Henry VIII, forming the Anglican Church, and Scotland adopted Presbyterianism under John Knox. These movements permanently changed Europe's religious and political world.
The 30 Years' War was a long and destructive series of conflicts fought across much of Europe. Although many battles were tied to religion, mainly between Catholics and Protestants, the war was driven by political, territorial, and commercial rivalries. When it ended with the Treaty of Westphalia in 1648, the political map of Europe had changed permanently. This conflict is usually said to have begun in 1618, when Ferdinand II, the future Holy Roman Emperor and the King of Bohemia, tried to force strict Catholic rule on his lands. Protestant nobles in Bohemia and Austria rebelled, but after 5 years, Ferdinand defeated them. Soon after, in 1625, Christian V of Denmark entered war hoping to gain land in Germany. He was defeated, and the Peace of Lubeck in 1629 ended Denmark's influence as a major European power. Sweden, however, became the leading Protestant force. After ending a war with Poland, Sweden's King Gustav invaded Germany and gained support from many Protestant princes. The war kept expanding as countries joined for their own political goals. Poland fought Russia in hopes of increasing its power, and though it failed to take Russian throne, it returned fighting in Sweden. In Central Europe, three major Christian groups, the Roman Catholics, Lutherans, and Calvinists, struggled for influence. This created a web of shifting alliances. The Holy Roman Empire, led by the Catholic Habsburgs, fought against a group of Protestant states supported mainly by Sweden and the Netherlands. And at the same time, France, though Catholic, fought against the Habsburgs to weaken their power in both Spain and the Empire. Germany became the main battleground, and its towns in the countryside suffered terribly. Many armies were made up of unpaid mercenaries who survived plundering villages, creating widespread destruction. When the war finally ended in 1648, major changes followed. Spain lost its dominance and recognized Dutch independence. France became the leading Western power. Sweden gained control of the Baltic region. The states of the Holy Roman Empire were received full sovereignty, ending the idea that a single Catholic empire in Europe, and established the framework of the modern independent nation states.
Finally, the Israel War. Israel captured Gaza from Egypt in 1967 and controlled it until withdrawing its settlements in 2005. Through it continued to control Gaza's airspace, sea access, while Egypt only controlled one crossing. In 2007, Hamas took over Gaza after winning elections, which led Israel and Egypt to impose a blockade that caused severe economic hardship and restricted movement for Gaza's population. From 2008 to 2021, Israel and Hamas fought several brief but intense conflicts, creating a long cycle of violence and mistrust. The conflict escalated sharply on October 7, 2023, when Hamas launched a major attack on Israel, killing about 1,200 people and taking 250 hostages. Israel responded with a massive military offensive by land, sea, and air. Over the next 2 years, destruction and civilian casualties in Gaza grew dramatically. According to the Hamas-run health ministry, more than 67,000 people were killed, most of them civilian. As the humanitarian crisis worsened, international pressure increased by July. The UK and 27 other countries called for the immediate end to the fighting, saying civilian suffering had reached new depths. Unbacked experts warned that famine conditions were emerging, and the IPC reported rising starvation, malnutrition, and disease-related deaths. Several UN agencies said the famine was man-made and blamed Israel restrictions on supplies entering Gaza. Some human rights organizations and international officials argued that the displacement and destruction amounted to the acts of ethnic cleansing, while Israel rejected those accusations. A major shift came in October 2025 when Israel and Hamas accepted the first phase of a U.S.-brokered peace plan, leading to a ceasefire. Israel pulled its troops back and allowed more aid, while Hamas released the remaining 20 living hostages and Israel freed nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners.
Across the Reformation, 30 Years' War, and the Israel-Gaza conflict, religion shaped how people made sense of the world and how societies either held together or broke apart. During the Reformation, many Europeans turned to Scripture to interpret corruption in the church and to understand why religious and political structures were changing so quickly. In the 30 Years' War, faith offered a framework for coping with massive suffering, while rulers and soldiers found a way to justify their actions. In the Israel-Gaza war, religion continues to shape the narratives of trauma, justice, and collective identity, influencing how each community interprets both history and present-day violence. Across all three events, shared beliefs helped spread the ideas across borders and build strong communities, yet competing with religious claims, whether between Protestants and Catholics or among Jewish, Muslim, and Christian traditions, often deepened divisions and intensified conflict.
This will wrap up today's episode of the Wonder Bread Pod. We've seen how religion isn't just about belief. It shapes politics, identity, and the way people understand the world. From the Reformation to the 30-Year War to the ongoing conflict in Israel and Gaza, faith can connect communities but can also deeper divisions. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history. I'm Lucas, that's Tyson, and we'll catch you for the next time, another deep dive into history.